Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 171. Today is June 24th. My name is Craig Perales. Joining me, as always, Mandrew Montemay. Sir, how are we?
Hello.
Oh, is this from something? Are you doing a bit?
No. I just felt like saying it like 50 times.
Oh, I like that. How's your day going, my man?
Today's actually going really good. For some reason, even though it's a Saturday, I had to work a little bit, got out early, and I think I'm just ready because I'm excited for like my 4-day weekend next week because we got 4th of July coming up. Happy early 4th of July to anyone out there.
Are you going somewhere, or you just like having the days off?
No, I just like having the days off. Just stay home, play some games.
Nice, because what day is that falling on?
It's next Tuesday, but I'll have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off.
Ooh.
And I might take Wednesday off too.
That sounds fantastic. Man, it's crazy how fast this year is just cruising, man. And now we're already getting into July 4th conversations.
It seemed like the start of the year was dragging, and now we're just like blasting.
Straight blasting through. So guys, thank you for joining us on today's show. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys share. Hit that notification bell. If you're interested in following us on any of our social media, our Linktree link is in the description down below. And if you guys are interested in listening to the audio-only version of this podcast, check us out on your podcast platform of choice. So, guys, before we get to our main topic, Andrew and I like to do, what are you up to? We take a second quickly and talk about what we've been playing, what we've been watching. So, Andrew, what have you been up to, good sir?
Yeah, so I'll go first because I feel like mine is a little less interesting than yours. I've been playing the Castlevania Advance collection that we had bought. It went on sale like a while ago.
Right?
Yeah, it's got like 3 of them, and I'm just doing them in the order they came out. So the first one's Circle of the Moon, and it's, I don't want to say rough, but the movement does not feel like it's good. You can tell that this was their first attempt at like a game, getting Castlevania onto like a Game Boy Advance. Because the way he moves and controls, it doesn't feel like Alucard, where I've seen the other ones, and that's more like how he moves, where it's a lot more fluid. He moves almost like the classic Castlevanias, where you're walking stiff, and when you jump, you kind of can move forward and back, but it's very stiff. But it's fun. I'm actually really liking it. I think it's hard, but it wouldn't be so bad, or it's not so bad now because I'm using the like rewind function on the controller.
I love doing that.
So every time I get hit or I mess up really bad and it costs me extra health or whatever, I'll just back it up. So I'm just kind of cruising through. It's not that long of a game. I think it's only like 9 hours. If you're trying to do everything, I think I've only been playing for like 5, but I'm already on like the back end of it. I'm not really using a guide, but I do have like a map of the castle.
It's a 9-hour Game Boy Advance game?
Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of like cruising through. So I'm really liking it, and it has me hyped to get into the next ones that are going to be better. Plus, especially coming off of Diablo, this game is way better about giving you achievements for actually doing stuff and beating the story. Because it's just achievement for beating the boss in game. Plus a couple extra things. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like I feel like I'm getting my time
rewarded.
Whereas when I did Diablo, I think I ended up with like 200 points or something.
Now, are you Alucard, you said in this one? Or are you a Belmont?
No, in this one you're not either. I actually don't remember his name. I remember the other dude's name is Grant. I forget this dude's name. I'd have to go back because they've only said it like once throughout the game at the start, and I've ran into someone, the other guy, it's like someone's son, like once throughout the story. So I don't know.
Okay, I was just curious to see because I know the Belmonts, I know Alucard. I'm like, I never played any of those other ones, so I didn't know who the protagonist was.
This one doesn't even. I'd have to look it up because I have it in my YouTube watch list of this story like overall. Because again, it's like very minimal so far. Symphony of the Night, I think, had more going on than this did. So I'll wait till the end and then I'll go watch it. But I don't think you're like either of them. I don't even know where this falls in like the time period of like, you know, Dracula's
I don't think it's canon.
But because I was watching stuff like this on YouTube, because I got like a little lost and I couldn't figure out what to go, this is what I've been watching. It recommended this guy to me named Dragon Blitz. And he popped up in my feed, and I love Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I know you played it more recently. And he is a speedrunner, and he breaks down how people do speedrunning, certain techniques. He has his own speedruns on there. There's like a run where they do every single boss, but in reverse order. So he's glitching the game and skipping all the beginning bosses, makes it all the way to the castle, upside down version. You beat Shaft, but then Dracula comes out, exits the fight, and then kills every boss in reverse order all the way back up to the very first boss that you fight, which is the demon and the Gaibon. Yeah. and you just melt them, obviously, because you're OP at that point. And now
is that just for fun? Like they're just tackling it in a way?
It's on the speedrunning, speedrunning.com. He actually holds every world record for Symphony of the Night, which is why I was watching him. But his big video that he had is there was another Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's a Castlevania Symphony of the Night world record. It's the most watched video of that kind for Symphony of the Night runs on YouTube. And it has like almost 1 million views, or had. I think the guy's taking it down now afterwards. But because he's a legit speedrunner, a lot of people have been questioning it in the community. And he made like a full, I think it's like 40-minute video of why it would be impossible for this guy to do anything and certain moves. And he's just calling him out, saying that he's a cheater. And after he made this video, I think that dude finally pulled that video down. I'm like, either way, it's just crazy to be like, oh, this is why he wouldn't do that. A real speedrunner wouldn't do this or do that. But something just for an example of what the guy does, and you could attest to this because it's the 200% run. So you did the 200%. You know how hard it is. When the dude's in arguably the most annoying area, when you're in the underground caverns and you have to jump up and hit the water areas on the top. Oh, yeah, yeah. You remember that being a pain?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you have to be very precise to do it. Guy didn't even check his map at all and just assumed he got it and kept going, which you would never do that on a speed run, especially a world record pace speed run. You would waste a couple seconds to check it. And this dude just breaks down all kinds of stuff. It's very interesting. And I think you would actually like watching it. I started
watching it because I downloaded a spot so I could have it running on the YouTube show so people could watch it. Because I was getting to a point where he was getting past... is the library the place that has the guy sitting there?
Yes.
And so he was by the library and he's going back out these steps and he jumps up and he goes under the floor and like cruises all the way through. I'm like, what is this madness?
And that's what I like about it too, is he's not just doing it, like he'll have his speed run up, but he explains every step of the way, what tricks he's using, kind of how they were found and how you can even do it, or why he does certain things versus... I do it this way, another speedrunner might do it this way. It's very, very, like, in-depth. So if you're into something like that, definitely check him out, because it's super cool.
Nice.
What have you been up to?
As far as what I've been
jealous of.
I just watched the movie Flash. It came out on June 16th. I went and watched it with our buddy Denny. Shout out to D6. Big movie directed by Andy Muschietti. I won't try to do any spoilers, but for anyone who, I guess, isn't familiar with it, the plot is... worlds collide when the Flash uses his superpowers to travel back in time to change the events of the past. However, when his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, he becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation. With no other superheroes to turn to, the Flash looks to coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian, albeit not the one he's looking for. Now, by all points, every trailer that I saw, the movie looked awesome. And I think a lot of us were under the impression that this was going to be a kind of Flashpoint paradox, a type of reset for it, and it really isn't. And to be honest with you, I didn't really care for this movie, and it's weird because I am seeing, we were talking a little off camera about it, I am seeing people that are going, I love this movie, it's the best DC movie out there, this is what this is great Flash and all
I've
that
seen
stuff.
people call it DC saving grace.
Yeah, I watched it. I don't think so. There was a lot of things in this that I just had problems with. I had issues with it. One of the biggest ones was the visual effects. There's this whole scene where these babies look completely uncanny valley type things. It didn't look right. And now, from what I was reading, I guess they made a choice to make this movie kind of have these weird visuals. And for me,
Flash vision.
Yeah, and for me, I'm like, dude, okay, well, if that was your choice, it was the wrong one. The movie just seems kind of choppy. It seems kind of unfinished. The acts kind of don't follow each other in a blending way. They kind of fall apart. A lot of people have an issue with Act 3, which I know I did. Again, it's not a Flashpoint paradox. The storyline is kind of lame. One of the saving graces, and I think everyone can agree to it, is that Michael Keaton as Batman is awesome. And he is the best part of the movie.
That's cool.
And Sasha Callie, I believe, the girl who plays Supergirl, she's awesome in this movie. And the two things that when this finally picks up around the second act and you start running into them, you're like, this is the best part of the movie, because everything else that has Ezra Miller in it, to me, he's just annoying. Like, he's really funny in Justice League when he has these little quips and these little things that he says here and there, but it's like the whole movie with him in it, and then once you meet the other version of him, who's just this complete douchebag, I'm like, it's just annoying to me. And the fact that I got to listen to this guy talk for this long is just, it was really bad. So I would say, I wouldn't even recommend it to you. I would just say wait for this thing to come on HBO Max, because one of the other things that happened was this movie bombed. I mean, this thing had a huge budget. The budget, I believe, for this movie is $172.3 million. I believe that's what it was. And then so far, its opening weekend, it made $55 million, which is under Black Adam's $67 million. And just over Shazam's $53.5 million. So this movie completely tanked. Now, you could say it has maybe a lot to do with the Ezra Miller controversy. I'm sure that's part of it. Or it could just be that DC just hasn't been in the right spot, especially when you look at the numbers compared to Marvel. They just have never been close. So the highest grossing DC movie, which was the Batman and Superman at $166 million in the top 10, is still less than MCU's top 10, which is Iron Man 3 at 174. So it's like, I don't know. I didn't think the movie was that great. I'm not saying it was bad. It has awesome things in it, especially the Batman, especially the Supergirl stuff. But as far as me recommending it to you, I would just say wait for HBO Max, man. Unless you really want to go, watch this movie that's 3 hours long.
I'm of two minds, but I mean, I do want to see it because I got to see it. I hope that this, and I think maybe Aquaman and Shazam are kind of the last of these, and then James Gunn can maybe do something with this, because they have these amazing properties that they've just squandered every opportunity, except for the Batman's been like the only good thing to come out of DC lately. But two, for how
which is a whole different thing, which isn't even it's an extended universe.
I like the kind of idea of what they did, especially like Michael Keaton and stuff's in here. But I was kind of more hoping for like that Flashpoint Paradox story, because it's so good. If you guys haven't seen it and you have HBO Max, or I think even like Amazon, go watch the animated version of it. It's very violent, very brutal, very good, and it really, I think that captures it a lot better than what this could. But either way, I was still keep my mind open and check it out.
When you watch it, you will come back to me and we'll talk. But as far as I know, I didn't care for it. But
what have you been playing?
As far as what I've been playing, Final Fantasy 16, like I know a lot of you guys out there are playing, just released on June 22nd, published by Square Enix. I'm not too far into it, I would probably say, because I didn't get a lot of chance to play it. We had a big D&D session the other night, which was awesome. Shout out to the boys and girls that played with me. But I would probably say around maybe 10 to 15 hours in the game.
Is that 10 to 15 hours counting the demo or not?
I don't know. I didn't check if the demo rolls over the time, because I did play the demo. If you guys didn't get a chance to, you should have. The demo came out like a week or two before the game, and your save, because I wasn't going to play it until Cien said the save carries over. I don't know if it counted, because the demo's only like 2 hours or something like that. So I don't know if that rolled over into it.
Oh, okay. But I thought it was longer. All right.
Yeah, the game is amazing. The action is awesome. Ryota Suzuki is the combat director on this. He's also the guy that did, I think, Dragon's Dogma, but I know he did Devil May Cry. It's extremely fluid. I was showing you the items in this game. There's certain things you can grab that are kind of remind me of like gambits from like FF12, where if I'm running low on health, I can put an item on that automatically makes my guy use potions, or you get the wolf that follows you. Instead of giving him commands, I have an item equipped that automatically does that for me. So I really like how you can really customize your player. The icons in this are what let you learn new powers and abilities, which is cool, because there's always the summons in all the games, right? In 8 they're GFs, and 7 they're summons. I know, but which one calls them Eidolons?
9.
Is that 9? And then, so in this one they're called icons, and they're a huge part of this story. They're not just something that's in the game to be messed around with and to enjoy battles with. They are like detrimental to the game. These dominants turn. Are you still thinking of it?
It's 9 or 12.
It's got to be one of those two. But everything I'm playing on it is awesome, and one of the cool things that I'd recommend, if you guys kind of skipped over it, because I kind of did in the beginning, is they have this ability called Active Time Lore, and it's something you can do during the cutscenes that'll catch you up on everything in it. So let me just read this real quick from The Verge. It says, the feature is called Active Time Lore, a nice play on the active time battle combat system of past games, and it's sort of like the X-Ray tool offered by Amazon Prime Video, only for a video game. I love X-Ray on Amazon, by the way. It works like this. At any time during a cutscene, you can pause and hit the touchpad, bringing up a web of all the important characters and locations and events related to the current scene. So if you have no idea who, say, Ramu is or the importance of the Kingdom of Waylode, you can get a brief refresher. So once I kind of read that, I was clicking things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's who this girl is. That's who this guy is in terms of the story. But it's easily one of these things that I think a lot of people are going to be comparing to, like, Game of Thrones, because it's very, I was talking with Andrew, it's very mature, it's very adult. You're watching people get their throats slit. As far as the I guess the travel system is, I can see how people are going to have some issues with it, right? There is no open world unless we get to a point and it does open up, because he does mention an airship at some point in the game. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. At this point, it's kind of more of just this quick travel system to certain spots, but I'm enjoying that. I mean, not every Final Fantasy has to be exactly the same, and 16 is taking a big leap in a new direction. And for someone who like me really enjoys action RPGs, I'm really enjoying it. The other thing I would say that I could see what people might turn off is that it's very action, cutscene. Action, cutscene. So, like, there's a lot of cutscenes and storyline that you have to watch, but I don't have a problem with it because the cutscenes are so good. It's voice acted so great by all the talent. The only hiccup I had is when you level up, it'll stop in the middle of a battle and level you up if you get the experience, but it doesn't do any music. It doesn't give you any, like, I don't know. We were just talking about that voice actor too, because the guy that plays Sid, I was listening to his voice. I'm like, dude, I know this voice sounds familiar, and it's the same guy that plays Lorath in Diablo 4. So I know a lot of people are playing Final Fantasy 16 that are just coming off of Diablo 4. So this dude's having a great year.
Oh, dude, Craig's like, hey, tell me if you recognize this. The guy said one word, and I'm like, oh, it's the guy from Diablo.
Yeah, it's Lorath. I forget his name. But yeah, overall, I mean, I can't say too much because I'm only so many hours in, but as of right now, it's fantastic. It's clearly going to be a Game of the Year contender and everything about it. But the bottom line is it's just gorgeous. You can tell that they put a lot of money into this, and it really shows. So I got to say, and I haven't been reading anything about anybody having bugs or glitches. The only problem I heard people having is that people's PS5s are overheating because the battles are, like, so intense. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that is something I was reading. But yeah, I'm sure next week I'll have more to say on it. Hopefully be done by then. But as of right now, man, I'm enjoying everything.
That's good. It looked gorgeous. I'm gonna hopefully wait out the 6 months, and we'll see if this one ends up coming to Xbox, because I would love to play. If not, after just looking at it, I think it might be time for me to pull the trigger on the PS5.
I was telling I don't know if it was you or Geno or someone the other day, and I was like, dude, this is a game. This is worth buying a PS5, and then you can get the premium, and you can go back and play your Horizons, and you can play God of War. And I know people are having questions too, because when the demo came out, I think you could only play it at 30 FPS, so I wanted to look into that. And as of right now, Final Fantasy 16, you can choose the modes. Performance mode with 60 FPS at 1080p or 1440p, or you can do the quality mode, and the game will run at 4K but with only 30 FPS. So this game does have both options.
You're telling me this game's not 4K 60 FPS? Oh, got trash.
Trash. So that's everything we've been up to, guys, what we've been playing, what we've been watching. So make sure you guys leave down in the comments below what you guys have been up to. So moving on to our main story, and that is that to wrap things up, after a solid 2 weeks of showcases, the Nintendo Direct just dropped, and it had some bangers to follow it. It's about 40 minutes long. Had a lot of surprises, and the way Andrew and I normally like to do it, we don't break the whole thing down game by game. We generally pick out a few games that kind of caught our eye, something we want to talk about. We did 3 apiece, which is usually what we do. So, Andrew, why don't you start off with caught your eye? Are you going from best to worst? Are you saving your banger for the end?
No, I just had them written in the order that they came out. So, the first one for me was actually Detective Pikachu Returns. Now, of course, it's a sequel to the 2016 game. This is actually surprisingly coming out October 6th, 2023, developed again by Creatures. It looked good. I always like anything in the world of like Pokemon that's not just like a straight up Pokemon game, especially because I didn't get a chance to play the first one. And I think too, what I'm more excited about is hopefully that this does well. That people that they see like, okay, people are really clamoring for this. Let's try and get this second movie out, because I really enjoyed the 2019 movie Detective Pikachu. I thought it was so good. With the way that ended, no spoilers. I don't know how they would kind of continue the idea of that Pikachu talking from how they did it in that world. But either way, I would love to see another one, because that first one was so good.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I never played any of the games, and I was curious. I'm like, why does he talk? But then I'm like, well, Meowth talks. I mean, is this like a Pikachu that taught himself how to talk, or is it? Yeah, so I don't know. I thought it looked really interesting. Is that something you actually plan on buying and playing through?
I think I'll go through that one for sure.
Nice. So my first game that I wanted to point out was this game called Gloomhaven, which is coming out on September 18th of this year, developed by Flaming Fowl Studios. And the description says this, if you guys aren't familiar with it. It says, lead a group of unsavory mercenaries, each with a dozen of distinctive abilities. In this turn-based tactical RPG, explore cursed dungeons, delve into forgotten ruins, take morally dubious contracts, and come out rich or not at all. Face its ever-growing challenge in a unique tactical card-based gameplay where every choice matters. Master 17 unique characters and face over 260 exquisitely arduous missions. Now, as far as I can tell, I think this game was already out on PC as far back as October 20th, 2021. But this game will now be going, so this won't be a Switch exclusive. I believe it is coming to Xbox and PlayStation as well. But this is something, it's based on like a tabletop game. It's kind of like a D&D, but I don't think there's a Dungeon Master.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, everything I was seeing on it, I was like, dude, right up my alley, man. Card game, tactical, RPG, looked really cool. And yeah, it's something that I'm like, I would love to play it. I don't know if I'll get it on the Switch. I'm sure I'll get it on the Xbox, but definitely caught my eye and it looked like a lot of fun.
My second one is going to be coming from Square Enix, who's also having another big year, and that's Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. Now, I didn't realize that there was more of these. I've never even heard of Dragon Quest Monsters. I actually barely played my first Dragon Quest when it came to the Game Pass. I think it was last year or the year before that. Loved it, so I'm super excited for the next one. Now this, so instead of the traditional RPG style game, it actually plays more like a Pokemon game. So it has like the same save the world, here's the villain and whatever story that is in Dragon Quest games. But instead of, like I said, the RPG, you're catching these monsters and training them up like Pokemon, and that's kind of how you're fighting. And I thought that was a pretty cool take, something interesting, especially since we just came off of Pokemon. I loved it. I'm like, oh, you know what? I could use a little more something like that. So I definitely am down to try it, or at least see what it's about.
Yeah.
And this did, and like a lot of these games in here, did have a release date of December 1st, 2023.
Yeah, they dropped a lot. Dude, this is going to be a crowded end of the year 2023, and especially if you're looking at Switch games, pricey.
Yeah.
These games are going to be real pricey. So, my game that I saw that really caught my eye was Myth Force, developed by Beamdog. Currently in early access on the PC. I didn't see a date. As far as I can tell, it's releasing sometime this fall. Again, though, I think this is going to all the consoles. Instantly, when I saw this thing, I was thinking, like, this reminds me of the old D&D kind of cartoon. And this is what they had to say on NintendoLife.com. It says, the game will see you make your way through a Saturday morning cartoon-inspired world. The Cursed Lands, playing as one of 4 fantasy heroes from a first-person perspective. There's Victoria the Knight for some close quarters melee combat, Maggie the Mage for a magical touch, Rico the Rogue for some swift swordplay, and Hawkins the Hunter for some long distance archery. There's 4-player online cooperative play included in this one, so you can assemble your ultimate fantasy fellowship. And yeah, the whole kind of premise on this was that it's clearly inspired and running with this theme of like old school and 80s animated cartoons. So like Thundercats, like He-Man. The He-Man and Masters of the Universe, the old school D&D cartoon. So once I was watching this, I'm like, dude, this looks right up my alley. Were you ever? I mean, I know you know He-Man and stuff like that, but like, were you ever young enough? Were you watching those as a kid at all, or was that a little past your cartoons for Saturday morning? Because I love how they keep throwing back your old Saturday morning 80s cartoons.
I think they were past their prime, but I used to actually watch a lot of that stuff because it used to be on all the time during the week when I was a kid, when you stayed home from school, that would be the first half of the morning is older cartoons till about like I think like 10 or 11, and then it would switch to like the more modern stuff. But that's how my mornings would start if I stayed home. And then of course later on they added all that stuff to like Boomerang, and I was a big Boomerang fan.
Yeah, I love me some Boomerang. And the biggest thing that catches my eyes is I love that they're saying it's going to be a co-op game to jump on and play with everybody. So that's definitely going to be a reason to get the old gang back together.
Yeah, so that one did look pretty dope. My final one that I was actually pretty surprised to see, and I'm like, oh man, this actually looks really cool, is even though they do one all the time, it's Super Mario Brothers Wonder. And this is going to be another 2D Mario game, of course, always done by Nintendo Studio. This is coming out October 20th, 2023. Now, this one has like a really weird art style, and I think that's what grabbed me at first. Like, some of the foreground stuff still has the traditional art style, like pipes with eyes and stuff. But in the background, it's not just like a plain background anymore. It's like very detailed, almost like what they did with some of the like later Donkey Kong games and stuff. And I thought it looked beautiful. Plus, there's some like weird powers in there. Weird that one point, like you're turning into like an elephant, or you grab this weird seed to where like the pipes come alive, and you're grabbing these other like weird crystals. To where some of the levels you can only see your person's eyes and it's like pitch black, so you're trying to figure out where you're moving. Or I even showed Craig and he missed it when we were watching the trailer.
I completely
like some of the character, it is 4-player co-op. Some of the characters are like in the background doing whatever, but the other character was in the foreground doing stuff, so they look way bigger because they're on like a different plane, and I don't know what's going on, but it looked really good. And I do want to note that a lot of people are actually hyped for this because Daisy, and hopefully going forward too, is finally getting the love she deserves and is going to be a Mario mainline character, because I don't think she's been playable in a game since I think it was like 1986, it said. Besides, obviously, like Tennis, Mario Kart, whatever.
Right.
In a mainline Mario game, Daisy is now one of the people. So it's like Daisy, Peach, Toad, Luigi, and Mario.
And I think, well, I saw Yoshi in it too. I don't know if he's going to be an egg that you ride in missions, or if he's actually going to be a playable character.
I wasn't sure, and he kind of pops in and out of some. Cause I mean, even like Mario, or not Mario, I think even like Wario and Luigi have been in more stuff than like Daisy has. So it's cool to see her get some love, because I do love Daisy.
Yeah,
Daisy.
The thing I didn't really care for is, and unless they serve a purpose, I didn't really care for the talking plants. Like, it was like, hey, let's start the phone. I'm like, what is this for? Like, is this, like, if they're going to be in this whole game, like, trying to, like, navigate you through certain things? That was the one part when I heard, like, when he starts talking, I was like, this is kind of annoying. But I do like the idea that, and leave it to Mario to always come up with a new power, but, like, the elephant looks kind of cool. So I'm curious of, like, what level design and stuff he's going to be in. It's going to be something, because I want to see them all be elephants now.
Yeah, and even so, at one point you're like some weird like rolling ball thing with spikes. I don't know. It just had a lot of really weird stuff that doesn't look like your traditional Mario. And even still, just aesthetically, it looks very different. And so I'm on board for that.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's, you know, it's one thing when you get one Mario game. It's quite another when you get another Mario game. And I gotta say, I don't think anybody saw this coming at all, which was the Super Mario RPG remake, surprisingly coming out at the end of this year, November 17th, 2023. Now, there was a rumor that there was going to be a big SNES title in this direct, but I think a lot of people were pointing out that it was going to be either Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be Mario RPG, but I did want to read this real quick, and this comes to us from IGN. It says, originally released on Super NES, Super Mario RPG has been overhauled with new graphics. Join Mario, Bowser, Princess Peach, and original characters Mallow and Geno in an RPG filled with twists, turns, and treasure. Mario must team up with his allies to face down a menacing force known as the Smithy Gang in order to recover 7 stars and repair the Star Road. Whether you played the original game or have yet to take the journey, you can dive into this Nintendo Switch version of the very first RPG in the Super Mario series, Super Mario RPG, which comes out November 17th. Now, this is my favorite game of all time, but it's also, I think, one of the best Mario RPGs. And I played the Paper Marios, and I love those, and I love the
this is the inspiration for those, the precursor.
Yeah, and I love the Mario and Luigi ones that they do. Those are awesome. But this is something that was extremely special. It's what got me into playing RPGs. It's a very intro level kind of game. There's nothing crazy hard about it. There are some secret bosses, which I would love to see Kulex. Like, I want to see him redesigned. That's gonna be pretty awesome. But It was this thing where you actually get to play with Bowser and Peach in your party, which has never ever been done before up until that point. And then they made two awesome characters that I know a lot of people have a lot of love for, which was Mallow, and then Geno is a character that people have been dying for to get on Smash Brothers forever. So I know there's been a lot of problems with of the rights for this game, right, between Square and Nintendo. But I could see this as hopefully maybe they're testing the waters to see if maybe they can make a number 2. Is anybody still craving this thing? And the answer is going to be yes. The only thing, and me and you were kind of talking about it, that clearly isn't in the original is that percentage gauge on the left next to all their life. And I was trying to figure out that was. You had some thoughts, or what did you think it was?
Now that I'm thinking about it, it looked like it went up every time they hit the boss. So I wonder if maybe it's some sort of stun lock meter.
Oh, because the other one doesn't have that, so it's going to be cool, because I'm really looking forward to what they're going to be adding to this game, right? Because obviously, if you're going to remake it, pound for pound, they're going to add some new twists. Me and you were talking about, it's going to be cool to see the cutscenes, because when you're watching Geno slide down on that rainbow, and Bowser's flying him in the Bowser ship, or his little, what do you call that thing that he flies in, that little cup?
I don't know.
And so it's like, I can't wait to see what they've added to this.
Yeah, it did look like really over the top aesthetically. At first I wasn't kind of into it, but it's grown on me now that I've watched it a few times. I'm really excited for this. I didn't play this game until I was like in my 20s. I do own it, and I just sat down and beat it one day, and I love it. I actually like Paper Mario more, but that's because that was my introduction to it. I'd beaten that before I ever played any of these. But when you're watching this trailer for it, and it's showing you some of these cutscenes, they look pretty epic, and I would say as epic as on the scale of, like, do you remember, like, Smash Brothers Brawl when you're doing the embassy, and then you have, like, Link charging it, I forget, I think it's, like, Mario because he thinks he turned Zelda into, like, the little statue piece or whatever. Did you ever play it?
Yeah, but it's been a minute.
But it looked like these cutscenes are on that level with all the stuff they added. They looked epic and, like, pretty crazy. So I'm super excited for something like this, and to be coming out so soon.
Yeah, and dude, this is the game I've beaten a ton of times with every different variation, so I'm going to be super excited to go back and now play it, because it definitely has, I mean, I like that they're doing these things. Obviously, we had a big success with, like, Link's Awakening, and if you're going to do Super Mario RPG, then at this point, if Super Mario RPG is on the table to be remade, then I hope they keep doing these classic SNES. Obviously, at some point, there's going to be a Chrono Trigger, there's going to be an FF6, but I mean, keep them coming as far as I'm concerned.
There's a Star Ocean 2.
Ooh, so guys, those were the 3 big ones that we each had a piece, so 6 altogether. But there was a ton of stuff there. They were showing the new stuff for the Luigi Mansion. Peach had her own game. There was new stuff for WarioWare. There was that new pigeon game. There's a ton of stuff that this thing showed off. So if you guys are interested in checking out and you haven't seen it yet, the link's in the description, or leave down in the comments below what your favorite games were.
Very strong direct. I'd recommend watching it.
Yeah, very, very nice direct. So guys, with that done and out of the way, guys, let's move into our second main story, which has to do with Call of Duty Warzone Caldera is shutting down everything. And it says, as Warzone moves ahead with exciting new experiences to come, Warzone Caldera will shut down on September 21st, 2023. All Caldera gameplay, player progression, inventories, and online services will expire on that date. Now, I don't play Call of Duty that much. I definitely don't play Warzone. So to me, this doesn't really mean much. But I know, Andrew, you're huge into Call of Duty. So I'll let you kind of take the reins. What exactly does this mean? Are people getting refunds for anything they've bought in? I was reading a couple things saying it's because they want more people jumping to Warzone 2 because I think it has a smaller player base than... Is Caldera Warzone 1?
Yeah, so what it was is...
break it down, baby. Walk me through it.
Yeah, when the game launched, Warzone 1 launched, I think it was March 10th, 2020, I have the date right here. I just can't remember if that's the date it went free to play, because I think if you actually owned Modern Warfare 2019, you could play Warzone early before it actually went free to play. I do remember that. But once it went free to play, the original map was Verdansk, and that's everyone's favorite map. Then they did Verdansk 1984. That was the thing with the original Warzone, is it started with Modern Warfare 2019, and then they combined it with Cold War Black Ops that launched, and then Caldera was the final map. They took Verdun Scout and they moved over to Caldera, and a lot of people actually didn't like that. They did not like Caldera. It's like the most hated map, but that was how they integrated the final Call of Duty game, Vanguard. And by then, the kind of menus were shit. A lot of things didn't make sense because it was just three different games clashing with each other's philosophies when it came to weapons and guns. Either way, the main reason a lot of people like it, and Warzone 2 launched in a very shitty state. We had done a video on it originally when it came out, that it didn't run good, didn't feel right. They made so many changes philosophically that just didn't make sense compared to the first one. Warzone 2.0, as they call it now, is in a way better state now. A lot of people finally say this is the way it should have launched. It's not 100% perfect, but it is enjoyable, especially for those who hated it when it launched. I've kind of stuck through it, and I'm playing it now more than ever. I'm loving it now more than ever. It's not Verdansk good, but it is almost there. The big divide, I would say now at this point, is the movement. A lot of people like the way this Warzone, I'll just say Warzone 1 instead of Caldera, because it's just Warzone 1.
Okay.
The way the movement works is different to how it works on Warzone 2. And that's I think that's arguably the biggest thing, is it's different gunfight philosophies between the two. So there are a lot of people who swear up and down and will not move over. There's been rumors out there percolating that people were paying hackers to populate Warzone 1 as a way to get people out of that game. Like, I don't want to play this anymore, Warzone 2, I'll just go over there because there's no hackers. And then they kind of had let them have free reign in there, especially to headhunt streamers that were still streaming 1 to get them off there. So it's been kind of a crazy rough ride. So yeah, they are shutting it down. And I know that was the big reason they said they couldn't integrate Warzone 2, and that's why they have Warzone 2.0, is because they already had 3 games with 3 different philosophies on how guns should work and gameplay should work, that they couldn't possibly integrate a 4th game into it. So Warzone 2 is meant to be that fresh start. And a lot of people are pissed that you paid money for all these skins. Now, these skins, you still technically can use them, but if you didn't own the game, you would have to go and buy Black Ops Cold War right now. You would have to go buy Vanguard. So now you're paying a $60 purchase on top of what was originally a free-to-play game that you spent the money on. I personally didn't spend money on it, so I'm not really mad about it. I have no feelings about it because I personally don't like Caldera. I don't care for some of the movement things that they added in there, like stimming, where you inject yourself and you run faster. I kind of hated some of that stuff. And I have a 1.5 KD. I've got almost like 200 wins on the first one, so I'm not just some guy who sucks at the game. Like, I played a ton of time. I've gotten tons of wins in it. I do very well, so for me, it just didn't click as well as I'm liking it now. So I can understand people being upset, especially too with the fact that if you don't like playing multiplayer, I'm not a multiplayer person anymore either, but I just don't really know what you're expecting for how long that game was supposed to keep going, especially too because the rumors had been going for a while that Warzone 2, we knew about it for a long time, that it was going to be the separate thing. So if you kind of kept spending money on something that you knew was going to have to close one day, I guess that's kind of your fault. I think people are just more mad because it is, one, I'm sure it takes up a lot of resources, but yeah, they are probably trying to get people over to Warzone 2, because I do have on here Black Ops 4 Blackout, which was the original Battle Royale version. It's not like Warzone, but it is a Battle Royale, and that came out in 2018, and there's still servers running for that.
Yeah, so this one is the first one that they're actually completely shutting down, and that's kind of crazy. But didn't you say, or was I reading something that has it only been out for 3 years or something?
It has only been up for 3 years. Yeah.
Is that just crazy short time, or is that average in this kind of battle royale?
I don't know, because Battle Royale is such a new thing that no one else has done anything like that, though. There is no Fortnite 2.0. There is no PUBG 2.0. There is nothing else like that I don't think.
What about Apex 2? Didn't that?
No, Apex is just one thing. Warzone's the only thing, and they did say that they had to come over and redo everything from the ground up because they entered the game. As everyone knows who played Warzone, it ran really bad towards the end because just integrating 3 different games to make something work, obviously you can see where the problems were going to go. And not just that, how do you bring over someone's skins into a new game? Like, do you make them repay for it? But then is that the same skin? What if you take skins that, one of the biggest controversies of the first one was there was an all-black skin called Rose that you could get. You could earn it for free, and then after that you had to pay for it. Rose sucked because it gave you an advantage hiding in dark places. You couldn't see her. Like, it's people called it the noob skin. How do you bring something like that that's hated into a new game? And then if you do bring it into the new game, do you lighten her skin up so she's easier to see? But now, is that what someone originally paid for? And that's why it was never altered in the first place, because they couldn't, how do you alter something that someone had paid for or downloaded for free, that it's not the same now, it's not the same asset. So I can understand the problem. They're going through tons of problems right now, especially with the whole Tim the Tap Man, Nick Merckx, and all that stuff controversy, that they're really kind of in hot water, but I think they'll get through it just fine.
They always do. So, I don't have much to say. So, well said, sir. I'll leave it to reading things moving forward. You got your time. It ends on September, so play as much of it as you can until one day, hey, it's gone, baby. So, with that down on the way, guys, let's move into questions of the week. Now, guys, if you want to leave a question that Andrew and I can answer on the show for you, you can do so a couple of ways. You can leave it down in the YouTube comment section down below. You can email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media at Craig Perales, and I can grab them there. And this week's question comes from Jacob Lassant, and they write, I was reading that Xbox is raising their prices for consoles and Game Pass. Is this a smart idea to do for a company that's generally regarded in third place? Yeah, I was reading this too, and I didn't know when exactly they were going to bring this on. So let me read this real quick to you guys so you have some kind of context of what's going on. This comes to us from The Verge, and it says, we've held our prices for consoles for many years and have adjusted the prices to reflect the competitive conditions in each market, says Kerry Perez, head of communications for Xbox, in a statement to The Verge. Xbox Series X console pricing will largely match the price hike Sony announced for the PS5 last year, with the Xbox Series X moving to $479 in the UK, $549 across most European markets, $649 in Canada, and $799 in Australia starting August 1st. The Xbox Series S pricing will not be adjusted in any markets, remaining at $299.99. While the Xbox Series X pricing adjustments have been expected after Sony's move last year, Xbox chief Phil Spencer also hinted in October that pricing for subscriptions would not hold forever. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Game Pass for console pricing will increase starting July 6th. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will move from $14.99 a month to $16.99 a month. The base Xbox Game Pass for console pricing will also move from $9.99 a month to $10.99 a month. And as of right now, PC Game Pass pricing is staying the same. I don't see that the subscription model was a shocker, especially when Phil Spencer was kind of hinting at it. You are getting a lot of bang for your buck there, and by looking at it, $2 for Ultimate, $1 for the base Xbox Game Pass. To me, that's not crazy. What I'm not wrapping my head around is them moving up console prices, and the excuse they want to use is that, we're doing it because Sony did it. It's like you guys always had this kind of goodwill of being the cheapest into the marketplace. I don't know why you're getting rid of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've never heard of consoles going up in price. You can make a new SKU for it that has like a new X amount of memory in it or faster whatever, but to raise up the Series X doesn't make any sense. That's never. I don't think that's ever happened before. Usually, a console goes down in price the older it gets. Not 2 years into its life cycle or 3, whatever. Right now, it's going up money. So I can see how this would piss a lot of people off. Obviously, it's not going to affect a lot of people. Generally speaking, anyone in the U.S. But I can see if you're anywhere else, especially markets where you're the least bought console there compared to a PS5 or a Switch for that matter. I just don't get this move, and to me, I think it's the wrong thing to do. Do you look at it any differently?
Yeah, I actually don't think it's that big a deal, especially the $1 or $2 for Game Pass. It's not Netflix, where like Netflix doesn't really, they're not giving you that much bang for your buck. That I'm like, dude, why is that going up? You get a ton of whatever the Game Pass. So Game Pass pays for itself. That could be like $20 a month, and that would still be more value than any other subscription you have. Now, as far as the console goes, who hasn't already gotten one already that you're complaining about this? When were you planning on buying it? Next year? A year from now? 2 years down the road? That now this is going to affect you? What were you holding on for?
Yeah, but usually when you wait 2 or 3 years, it goes down $100, not up $100.
Well, then that's on you, and now that you know, this is, if anyone was sitting on the fence now, they're going to go out there and, oh, shit, I better buy it now before it goes up in price. So if anything, I think that would increase sales. And anybody who already really wanted one already has one by now. Again, that's my philosophy and way of looking at it, that I don't think it's going to make it sell any less, especially, Sony kind of did the same thing. Plus, they have the SKUs of consoles with the Series S, the other one that's got like the 1 terabyte, and then the Series X. So there's a few different options out there for you. And again, like I'm saying, if you were waiting for it to go down in price, it's not going to go down now, so you might as well just get it. And what did you think it was going to go down by? Like $50, $100? Like, if that's really that much that you're holding on, like, oh, if I wait 4 years, I could get this for $100 less. What have you been missing out on this whole time? And, like, what are you currently playing?
But I see what you're saying, but at the same time, though, how is this a smart move? To make consoles go up, especially at a point when Xbox was getting bought so much more because it was hard to find PS5s in the wild, where now there are going to be PS5s. So why would you raise your console up more to match PS5 when most people wanted to get a PS5 in the first place? The benefit of it was being cheaper and being in stock. Now you're going to be just as pricey. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. It's just, I don't think it's a smart move, and why now?
I'm not a financial, we're not, like, we don't know the financial stuff for this, so I'm assuming that they have to kind of do this so they're not taking it as much on the chin, because again, you're already getting the Game Pass at a crazy price. So who knows, maybe that is the offset.
Yeah, but coming from what, the $1 trillion company? I mean, I don't know. I've looked at it, and I'm more curious on what any of our European listeners, maybe the brothers have another outlook on something like this of, does that matter in people in the area? Because clearly it's not going to affect us in the U.S., so I have no issue. But, like, what happens to the guy in Australia now that has to pay $800,
what was it
for it?
Did it say what it was before?
No, it's just showing what the new prices are going to be. So.
See, I'd have to see what it is before, too, because as far as my understanding, from some of the other things I looked at, it didn't look like it was, like, going to be, like, $500 more than what it was before. And if $100 was your breaking point, then you save your $100 now like you were trying to do in the first place, and you make a deal.
You make a deal. So, so on two sides, one for the Game Pass, that was coming. I'm surprised it held out as long as it did. From what my point of view is, as far as them raising prices on consoles, I don't think it's a smart idea. If they have to, they have to, I suppose. And I don't like the excuse though that they're trying to match the PS5 hike. It's like, you guys can afford it. You're Microsoft. You should be the cheapest consoles out there. But I don't know. It's happening. So I guess get them while you can. Get them while they're hot. But it's coming. Hey, they are coming. So, guys, that is it for the end of episode 171. Guys, hit us up next time. Join us next time for episode 172. And until then, my name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
See you guys.